before God makes a move. Anywhere, and has to move those out of the way for his children to be delivered. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. It is a reverence and a fear that is so great that you will feel it in every atom of your being. You won't be able to stop it. You won't be able to bring it on. You won't be able to pretend it. You won't be able to do one thing, because it is an act of God. It is a decision made by God. And when there are those who made decisions to follow Satan and claim that God is Satan, and God does something to move them out of the way, and you're so foolish that you listen to pastors say, get your popcorn ready. Sit down and watch the show. And you have no fear whatsoever inside of you to know that you are playing with the living God. And it is fearful to be in the presence of his anger, of his wrath, of his heartbroken power, because he would never get out of his place to move if his heart was not broken at what his creation decided to do. The Bible says that once he is moved out of his place, he is a terrible God. What man or what woman, even the hills can't do it, can stand in his presence when he is that angry? Who can dare to sit down and say, oh, well, I'm going to watch what happens to her? Like they did in the old days, and they saw the hangings and the beheadings, and they sat down and they cheered. You're going to tremble. You're going to feel his power, and every atom of your being is going to be submersed. And I'll tell you, it's a terrifying fear. Because all of your lifetime, God had warned you. God had told you. God had shown you his reality. And you kept him at bay. Oh, no, he doesn't do that anymore. Oh, no, he won't do that anymore. Oh, no, this doesn't happen anymore. And you went on your doing whatever you thought you should do or could do. Oh, I'm not just talking about the wicked. I'm not just talking about a certain kind of people. I'm talking about the people who call themselves the children of God. Because if you dare believe that you belong to God, then you better dare to believe that he will deal with you like one of his children. God doesn't play. There was a point where those that followed Jesus, what they did was they quit following him. Why? Because they hit a point of being so fearful. Some of them couldn't bear it. And instead of praying that they could bear it, that they could be in his presence, that they could hear his voice, that they could listen to him, instead of doing that, they ran. I'm not condemning them, and I'm not condemning anybody else that does it, because that's the flesh. And not everybody can bear what God has to say. Not everybody can endure what God is going to do. But I promise you, when a person decides, no matter what you say to them, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, and you warn them and God warns them and warns them, stop, this isn't right. And they never hold themselves accountable. They hold everybody else accountable. They actually believe that God is with them enough that it doesn't matter what they do. It's going to be all right. God's not like that. Blessed is the man that God will not mark iniquity. It's not where you don't mark iniquity because you refuse to accept responsibility for what you've done, for what you've said, for what you've opened the door to. Because of that, you think God is with you. Because you have peace in doing evil. Let us do evil that good may come. Paul the apostle said, their damnation is just. For if you lift one finger to do evil to anyone and getting your popcorn and watching people suffer, if that is the way that you think God is, I promise you, you're going to suffer. You see, when the death angel came over the children of Israel, when the death angel come by, the Hebrews had enough sense to know they were holy, they were humble, they feared God inside of them. They knew this was a tremendous power, and they bowed their head in respect, in thanksgiving for the blood of the Lamb. Some of you don't even think to do that. Some of you think somehow you earned where you're at. Some of you don't even think about how he paid a price for you. And that God isn't moving for you. He is moving for his son. He is moving for the innocent that belong to him. But you're so puffed up. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't be in your shoes for all the money in the world. Today is the day of salvation. It is the hour that you get on your knees and you cry out to God that you let that flesh in you die, that you forget that you are anything and understand that he is everything and that he's not moving because somebody personally offended you, for he does not take sides. Well, he took sides for this nation. Oh, he definitely did. He had a group of people that claimed him while they blasphemed him and did terrible atrocities. And he had the other side that strove with all their heart to do what was right, in spite of all the lies, in spite of all the media lying and the propaganda to stop them, in spite of everything. They strove to do God's will. While the other side, they've always gotten away with it. They're never going to be held accountable. They're never going to see a day where that anything is ever going to touch them. They can do whatever evil they choose because Satan is God. Think about who God is, because he's coming. And you say, well, he's coming the second coming and judge. Oh, yes, he is. But before that, before the rapture, he's coming to clean up the church. Because you see, God can't come to a filthy church. Your garment that he cleansed with his blood He's going to see how you dirtied it by believing it's okay to do this, by believing you'll follow that doctrine, by believing that you're going to do this, and by believing you're going to do that, and this is all right with God, and this is okay. You made all those decisions without God. You forgot who He is. You made a doctrine that you decided was the only way to get into heaven. That's your doctrine. There's only one way to get into heaven. It's not through Mary. It's not through your pastor. It's not by your confession before all men. It is not, none of those things have anything to do with your salvation. It's not because you prayed all day long. It's not because you read your Bible. And some of you are so foolish that you can do every evil thing there is, and you sing and sing and sing. And that's, you're worshiping God. You're blaspheming Him. Worshiping God is doing exactly what Jesus said. Pick up your cross, deny yourself, which is the flesh, and follow Him. Oh, it's not because you attended church and never missed a day, and you work in the church and all of that. And people pat you on the back. You've got your reward. What about the one no one ever sees, whose heart is pure and holy, and they've labored in everything, and you just spit on them because they couldn't do what you did. They couldn't go where you went. The proof of your walk with God is the condition of the imagination of your heart. And you imagine your works get you in. You imagine what you say gets you in. You imagine and have the gall to dust your feet off on an innocent person that doesn't even understand what you're saying. You know the Bible and you use it to judge and condemn others and pull them down. And you threaten them. If you don't belong to Jesus Christ the way I do, if you don't go to church the way I do, you're going to hell. Jesus never taught that. Never. He said, come unto me, all ye that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. He says, pick up your cross and follow me. Deny yourself. Stop thinking you're so high that you can judge and condemn others when you won't even live the way you need to live. Oh, foolish people, who has bewitched you that you should not obey the truth? It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. And God is going to visit His church. Every soul that belongs to Him is going to feel Him right in here. His terrorizing power is going to manifest. You know, the power that you played with, and you did whatever you wanted, and you said whatever you wanted. You went anywhere that you wanted. You said, God's with me. All I have to do is name it and claim it. Oh, that's mine. All I have to do is name it and claim it. Oh, coveting. Oh, so what? God says, that's mine. I'll use His name to get it. God says, I have the power of healing in my hands. But, you know, I just love to see that woman gyrate and dance and sing. Well, yeah, I seen her in a video worshiping Satan. But so what? I seen her with a bunch of naked men gyrating their bodies so evilly. But oh, that's just wonderful. God is still with us. In all of our evil, we don't have to worry or concern ourselves about being holy. We don't have to be sanctified. We don't have to be set apart to be made holy in the presence of God. Well, we prayed them through. Oh, we prayed for a couple of days. And you have no idea that's only the beginning of it all. Because they have to process through it with God. They have to reject this and embrace this. They have to allow God to convict them and say, come on, this isn't the way. This isn't me. Come this way. Here I am. But you won't listen. You have eyes that don't see, ears that don't hear, lest at any time you could see with your eyes and hear with your ears and God convert you. But Jesus said he doesn't want to convert you. He said, lest he convert you. He's the only one that can do it. Man can't do it. They could pray over you till doomsday, and they can't do it. But he doesn't want to convert you. You know why? Because the moment you think you have any power or authority, you will use it in the flesh and harm others. You will judge them and condemn the innocent that know nothing. You will expect them to be like you when you've never suffered the things they've gone through. There is a lot of people. There are a lot of people that are going to be coming in like a flood, that have been tortured, that have been put through things you couldn't even imagine. And you're going to look at them and say, well, they chose to do this and they did that, and that's why they're suffering. And God said, if you don't change your thinking, you're going to be in a worse condition than that. I'm only here to warn you, he's coming. He says, shall I not visit this sin? He's coming into every life. He tells you in that Bible plainly, he visits you. You have a day of visitation from him. Your day of visitation might not be the same as another's, but you've got that day where he will come and check you out. And he knows all the things you've said, all the things you've taught, all the places you went, all the things you've done, out in the open and in secret. And when they come to check you out, if you're not where you ought to be, he promises to cut you asunder, and you will probably lose everything that you have. And many of you, because you've suffered that, you think that God's with you because you went through that. You went through it because you did somebody great evil. Great evil, like the man I was telling you about. He deserted his wife and his children. She was sick. She could not be what he wanted her to be. So he arranged it through rebellion and witchcraft and got a doctor to tell him, leave your wife. And he had the gall to tell his wife that he was going to leave her because in order to save himself, he had to. He wasn't after anything except his own selfish will. That's what he was after. I can't have this and she never that, and I should have a wife that does this and I should have that, and look at me. Well, look at all these women, they're chasing me. Why? Because you're so gorgeous? You're repulsive. These are foolish, stupid women that have power over their eyes. Oh, he's a boss. He's got power. He owns the company. He's got power. Oh, isn't he cute? And you listen to that, and you believe that, and you dust your feet off on your wife, who needed you so bad. You dust your feet off on 2 children that you're going to answer for. I don't care how you crawl back. I don't care what you do if you don't get it inside your head and your heart that what you did in the sight of God is that vile. And then you remarried. What did you do with that one? Oh, well, she became a drunk and suddenly didn't want you anymore. It was because you deceived her. You sat there and, well, see how women flock after me. When I saw that, it made me sick. I said, you know what? I don't care what this man does. God showed me this man has no God. I don't know what's happening. I don't understand. You poor baby. You don't. Your children didn't know what's happening. Abandonment is a terrible thing to put a child through. You abandoned them. They were your first responsibility, but all you thought about is, well, I need a wife that does this with me, and I need a wife that would do that. And she's just not there. She couldn't be. She had a real serious illness. Whether the illness was in her mind, whether it was in her heart, whether was in her chemically, it was an illness. And you should have stuck with her and prayed her out of it. And they thought my husband was going to die. I could have said, oh, well, it's his time. He's old and, hey, it's time. Oh, no. Oh, no. He never left me when I was sick. He took care of me when I was sick. He didn't do to me what you did. And you walked around and strutted around like you were so much better than him. Like you would never do and say what he does. Well, you know what? The worst he had, the worst he has ever done is far better than a man like you. And I say man very loosely. Because I'm married to a man. And I know it. I'm married to a man that put me first, my daughter first. He didn't do it the way you thought he should. You thought he should. But he did it the only way he knew how. I'm not here to protect him or talk about him. I'm here to warn you. The Lord is coming to visit. And when you find yourself losing all that you have, you better crawl back to God and ask him, what did you do to deserve that? For he can restore you, but he will not if you do not repent. You have to recognize that you sin. You have to acknowledge that you did that. And you have to let him know you're sorry for it. For God will never despise a broken and contrite heart over sin. He'll never do that. But you have to be the one to do it. You can't blame everybody. You can't blame your wife. You can't blame your children. You can't blame anybody. You can't blame your neighbors. You can't blame your friends. You can't blame anybody. It's you. Once you doubt yourself, you realize, if I don't have something in my life that I need, I didn't need it. For God supplies all my needs. If it's not right there, I drop it. I don't need it. For God has already proved to me that he has never deserted me, never let me go. He has never failed me. So apparently, I didn't need it. So why should I cry for something that I don't have when I don't need it? I said, well, I would like to go here and I would like to do that and I would like to. Okay. If God wants that, it will happen. If he doesn't, and it's my wish, my will, it won't happen. And that's okay with me because I want his will. And if you decide at any time you want to be rotten to me, you want to talk nasty to me, you want to do anything you want to me, I want you to know, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, when you get done, I'm still going to belong to Jesus Christ, because I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to pray for you. I'm still going to long to see you saved. I'm still going to do I am never going to change and kick Jesus Christ out of my heart. I am never going to allow me to live there. I'm always going to allow God to have power. So as soon as you hit me, I look up and you're forgiven. You are literally forgiven. It doesn't hurt because God in me looks beyond your faults and sees your needs. That is Jesus Christ. That's what he did for you. How dare you not do it for others? And you say, well, these did atrocities. Yes, they did. But you're not the one to sit there and say, oh, I can't wait to watch what God does to them. Oh, that's revenge. That is so good. God help you. God help you. He says, woe unto those who deal treacherously, for when they are done dealing treacherously, then I will deal treacherously with them. Woe unto those who have no mercy, because when they are done, I will have no mercy. Woe unto those who have no compassion, no understanding for anybody else but themselves, because when they are done, I will treat them exactly the way they treated others. That's why I said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. To be on the safe side of life, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, strength, and mind, and thy neighbor as thyself, because you will fulfill the law and the prophets. But you're so foolish because you went and studied the Old Testament, you went and studied this, because the law coming back means this, and the law, the way you're talking about it, never saved a soul, never. But you're so foolish, you think God's going to bring all of that back. No. He told you how to fulfill the law in the New Testament. Jesus said it twice. And I think it's both times in the book of Matthew. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, strength, and mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. Because in so doing, you will fulfill the law and the prophets. Because no man that loves God, or no woman that loves God like that, could ever have any thoughts, any imaginations, anything to do harm to another soul. He knows what he's doing. He knows where you're at. Check it out. When he says watch and pray, he means watch and pray over your own soul first, then you watch and pray over your family, then you watch and pray over your nation and your neighborhood. Do you care about your neighbors? Do you care about what happens to them? I've never had a son. And there's three or four sons with a lovely mother and father. They may not be the way I am, but they don't need to be. I see the heart and the desire towards God with the two of them. I respect that. And those children, wow, God knows. I'll do everything I can, just like as if they were my own. Again, once again, enough said. Enough said. We live in an evil, evil hour. And we have to be careful to watch over our hearts and minds that it never be taken over by the flesh that it never be ruled by the world, that it never listen to people who are like Pied Pipers. Prophesy to me good things. I don't want to hear this garbage all the time. We need encouraged. Encouraged to do what? Have you done your homework with God? Have you spent time with Him to do what is right to all people, with all people? Have you done what He called you to do as a Christian? Do you think if He were come 5 minutes from now into your life, that you would be able to withstand His glory? Because that's what it's going to take. You're going to have to stand in the terrorizing power of His glory visiting you. And it is not an easy thing to go through. Because He's going to check you out. You know the writing on the wall? Is it going to find you wanting